either side here. But I can also see it being played and then maybe in the next game being banned away if it's really strong.
Okay, a little bit more of a test the waters pick rather than being just outright banned. Of course, the jungle still being the high priority. I think that was the biggest conclusion we could make yesterday. Gamsu there just... it looked like he was trying to comfort Spirit, but it really more looked like he was trying to comfort himself. Spirit was like, I'm fine. And he's just like, yeah, no, yeah, we're going to be okay. Gamsu's like, we're going to be just fine. Getting ready for their matchup on stage. QG versus Fnatic. And the big matchup, like we said, Swift versus Spirit. What about, actually, I do want to ask, TNT, I think he was a big part of QG being able to win that second game. It's just the way he was playing Twitch, the way he was positioning himself, making sure he didn't get caught by those shockwaves. Dodging one with the flash is the big one. Do you think that's going to be something to look forward to at all in terms of him versus Reckless, how they position themselves with their teams?
I think it depends on, maybe we see like a really strong Fnatic and the game will be over before he can even do anything.
Okay.
The thing is TNT is like the way QG plays, of course, very early game. They don't really care about the early game, have like a very weak early game. And TNT is like a late game carry that does like really good team fights. So we have to see how that works out. But
we are right into the picks and bans. And look at that, Bard getting banned out.
Noxiac is spamming Bard on solo queue. Maybe they're afraid of Bard. Yeah. I know he pretty much spams that champion like whenever it's open. Yeah, he's really good on that champion.
We saw Doinby playing a phenomenal Kassadin yesterday. And with that in mind, the Kassadin ban usually signals the fact that you want to blind ping something like the Azir or something like the Anivia on blue side. Because in most cases, you will have to blind pick the mid lane eventually.
It's just crazy how every series we see different priorities and picks and bans. We didn't see Bard picked or banned yesterday, and then of course first game of this series, suddenly you get the preview that Bard might be a contested pick during the series.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned Bard briefly yesterday, just being the strength in the current meta, but like you mentioned, Papa, not seeing it show up yesterday, now it's going to be banned out. Maybe we'll see it picked later in the day.
I mean, Lulu will be banned from one of the teams either, like 100%, because I don't see Lulu being letting through like in any way, and Trundle being banned is like really interesting too.
Look at this, Lulu, Ryze, Dr. Mundo.
They're all open.
Are going for the Kindred first pick here.
Kindred first pick?
Ooh.
Does
okay.
Look, I agree with you,
then you
by
give
the way.
away the Ryze. QG played a good Ryze yesterday.
That's a bit...
They won with Ryze, so I'm not sure if it's worth it actually if like all junglers are open. But we have to see. I think I would see like a Lulu ban probably here right now and then just trade Kindred for Elise. Maybe get like a Ryze or something. The support matchup right now, like we saw a lot of Trundle is okay, Dr. Mundo's banned. They give away the Lulu apparently. Which is kind of smart because I think they force Fnatic in a position where they have to decide what are we getting. Like, are we getting the Kindred or are we getting the Lulu? And I would say Lulu is the obvious choice here because you just take... There are two jungle picks that are really good. There's no reason to just take one and then give Lulu and the jungle pick away.
And it's also like, when it comes to Ryze in this particular pick and ban, it's like the strength of Ryze is also his matchup into Kassadin. That is why you can blind pick him often in mid. But when Kassadin is out of the picture, you can still pick that Anivia blind, and Ryze is something that is not that good into that Anivia eventually. But with the Lulu picked, how can you really squeeze in the Anivia? I like the draft so far from QG.
Ryze Kindred would be like a really good rotation here, I think, right now.
I mean, it'd be a little crazy for them to give that Kindred away.
I mean, that's basically all the power picks just locked up in the first rounds there.
So we obviously, I think we're gonna like logically we should see like an Elise answer simply because of Kindred into Elise is like a pretty interesting matchup. No one has to commit fully, and while Nidalee might be okay too, she's a lot weaker than Kindred and probably get smashed. But with Elise, you can always look for the cocoon. You don't have to commit. You have CC. You can lock her down. But okay, the hover with Nidalee, I don't want to see that.
We're not going to see both these champions at the same time.
I mean, yeah, they have a lot of time left, so we'll see. They might just be hovering over that.
I'm really happy one of our questions has been answered already. QG has definitely cleaned up the pick and ban.
They have.
Like already with these two picks and the rotation they have created from the start, forcing them on the Lulu. Trundle is out of the picture. I don't think Trundle is a worth ban because Ryze struggles against Trundle and Anivia, and you're not going to be able to squeeze that in this particular game.
Yeah, I mean, just by adding the Bard ban alone, they've kind of shaken things up and forced Fnatic to also adapt to their ban, it seems.
Misfortune is really good here because Trundle is being banned. Trundle being like the hardest counter probably to Misfortune right now because the pillar is really, really good at interrupting the ultimate. And obviously we still have like something like Malphite, which would be really good against like Nidalee and Misfortune already. So I'm looking actually forward QG maybe last pick that Malphite, swap the Ryze into the mid lane, depending on the matchup. And they have to play the bot lane here. They have to pick it. So this is like a really good drafting and solid drafting, how I see it. Braum Twitch, we have seen it yesterday, works very well.
It feels like QG's mindset around the Braum is that is what is good into MF. We saw it as a response to the MF yesterday, and it worked out phenomenally.
That's true.
Twitch was the biggest reason why they clinched that game yesterday.
And just coming back to the Lock of the Misfortune, another reason why it's so smart here is they've already committed to a jungle. A lot of the champions that are used to interrupt the bullet timer champions like Gragas, and they've already committed to jungle. So it's only the top lane, and it pigeonholes the top laner into being some sort of engaged tank, or they have to go hyper carry, and that's why they're going for the Jinx. Remember, yesterday they went Twitch, now they go Jinx. They're saying, okay, backline threat, it's not something we put together with these 4 picks, so I guess we're going to have a hyper carry of our own to kite backwards.
Here's the thing, it's like, with Lulu, you want to have that one frontliner that just walks into the enemy, but you can't do that against the Ryze Kindred. You just die instantly. It just gets killed.
I feel like the Jinx pick actually is a smart pickup, because usually what Lulu, in situations Lulu struggles in, is when she has to kind of commit into something that is longer range than her. In this particular case, you need to look at the AD carry matchups. MF is going to have a shorter range than Jinx, so the power that comes with Lulu and the AD carry synergy is going to be lower, significantly lower.
Yeah, that's
also keep in mind, Kindred works in a way where you protect the AD carry. You have a hyper carry. You can just ultimate with Kindred, and then Jinx can just shoot rockets into the backline because of her range, and then no one can kill. Like, there's not enough lockdown here right now. We don't have any CC.
Oh boy.
Well, we talked about potato picks, and we get one. What do you think about
the
Sion?
ultra potato?
Yeah.
In Sion, this guy, he has health scaling on defense in terms of the shield, always gets so tanky. We were wondering off air when we would see this Sion. We thought it was an inevitability. That's why it was so surprising to see Shen, a contested top lane pick in the Cloud9 series yesterday, and finally we get that Sion.
So what I think Malphite should be like a really good pick here, simply because you have enough damage already. You need like a bit of tankiness, a frontline threat, and hard engage against Nidalee and MF. So that would be like perfectly fine if you pick Malphite here, have top lane just farm it out. Kindred obviously can beat Nidalee in the 1-on-1, and then just play around the
Just
bot
go
lane.
full potato.
Okay,
Full
Victor.
potato.
Oh.
I do not like this.
I don't like
though.
Victor here at
I
all.
feel like simply because the Fnatic side, they're going to have that Nidalee support, it kind of forces QG in a situation where they're going to be the ones that have to engage. But the one thing they have going on for them is the fact that Sion is going to be forced to stack a lot of magic resistance in this game. And that is going to make Jinx obviously flourish. And with that in mind, I feel like the win condition of the QG roster is eventually going to be the Ryze split push.
So yeah, we see double TP here from QG, whereas Fibin is opting for the Ignite, probably because of a matchup thing. I think Fibin has like enough confidence probably to just say, hey, I'm just gonna pressure you with the Ignite in the mid lane and then try to win the game that way. But
Okay. Well, I mean, you can't expect QG to clean up everything and come out 100% perfect on their picks and bans. So the Victor coming out maybe a little bit of a disappointment, but
I can see the reasoning why you pick Victor here, but it would just make more sense to just pick a strong, engaged Malphite thing.
Right.
Because you have enough zone control already. Like, who's gonna like walk into you? You don't need more zone control. You have the Kindred, you have the Braum, you have the Ryze that can lock down people. Yeah.
I feel like what they're fearing truly is the efficiency of some items. Like, we had the same similar scenario when Twitch was the only kind of physical damage carry. Kindred, the same thing, kind of adds to that now. They have 2 physical damage carries. Sion is going to be forced to stack the magic resistance against the Ryze, and I think Sion is going to be eventually melted in these fights.
okay, all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will find out in game. Has QG improved enough to take down Fnatic's new roster today? And also, what does Fnatic have to show us in their debut with the new squad? We'll find out in game 1 between these 2 teams.
welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne, Season 10, of course. And as you see, the coaches shaking hands walking off stage. I'm Devin Pyrotechnics Young. I'm joined by Indiana, Frosker, and Black. And that's right, we are getting the band back together. The tickets will be on sale in 2016, don't you worry. But Frosk, how you doing?
It's been a long time, Pyra.
Oh yeah, dreams come true, though.
Oh, dreams did come true. First album's gonna go out, our single, We Clearly Love the LPL.
Well,
There's
we're
a
getting.
pun in there.
Speaking of the LPL, we do have QG coming up in this one, and I really like their draft a lot better up until the victor. Yeah, I agree with the expert desk. It was a little bit of an odd pick, but it seems like a comfort thing for doing B.
Yeah, it's definitely a comfort pick, and you kind of have to wait, the Victor versus the Malphite. I think this actually kind of ties into why Sion was so strong and why we kind of thought, why isn't Sion appearing earlier in this tournament? Why did it wait too long till day 2 that we finally get to take him out? It's not only that lifesteal is being built very late by AD carry, so it makes armor that much stronger, but likewise, the fact that Sion offers this big engage. If we see a lot of siege compositions being built up simply because structures are so much more important because it's your primary source of global gold, you need to have that engage. So when someone's sieging up, you need to make that split-second decision. That's also why Malphite is very strong, and that's what Xiaogu are really lacking on this composition.
On the other hand, though, they do have a lot of damage potential here. I'm excited to see this Kindred. It has been pretty much removed from the pool most of this tournament, and now Swift will be taking the preemptive strike with it. Of course, Spirit is rocking the Nidalee. We anticipated that this would have been a very, very contested pick between these two junglers with such a storied history as well.
I mean,
Samsung versus CJ rivalry continues.
Exactly. This is CJ versus Samsung. This is World Elite versus Xiaogu, and now Fnatic versus Xiaogu, spanning 2 regions and an international stage. And the big thing is Swift is so looking forward to this matchup. Talking to the Xiaogu Reapers, this is what they wanted. They want to face Spirit again. They want to have this chance on an international stage. The next time that these 2 teams could possibly meet would be the mid-season invitational.
So. Or Worlds, yeah. I mean, it's a long ways away from all that stuff, but for now, I mean, it means so much here too, because Fnatic, this is 3/5 of an untested team. However, Spirit is a very, very powerful jungler. We saw Gamsu doing good work on Dignitas in a carry-like position too, and Noxiac, this is kind of his chance to prove himself since he was facing off, against teams. And he was on teams that really didn't have a whole lot going for him, all in relegation territory for the most part in Europe last year. But let's take a look at how this game starts off. We have a lane swap up in the top. TNT, TCT taking on Gamsu's Sion. Well, there's some double jungling going on for QG. Swift getting a little bit of help from his buddy V.
That makes sense. Misfortune has such a dominant lane phase. We'll see if Reckless decides to go for that Emax Misfortune and really make the most out of that mastery, the Thunderlord's Decree, just because it's so hard to out-trade that ability due to the range of it and the fact that she can get the proc off of it, so a lot of damage comes out for free. And likewise, are we going to see TNT and TCT look for a freeze, or are they going to look for a fast push? Again, prioritizing those structures going down to ramp up your ambient gold early.
Well, it looks like TNT is going to go on an early roam just to get some deep vision in here. He's going to be pinging out the blue buff, and I think this is a really, really easy lane for TNT to hold down in the very beginning, too. There's not a lot Gamsu is going to be able to do against him. Of course, melee range and all that, but he does have a lot of tools to push back the waves if he needs to.
And likewise, we're seeing Noxiac also make the back. He's heading up top to assist Gamsu in the top lane. But look at this. Swift versus Spirit. We knew that this was going to be an aggressive jungle matchup, and already of TCT kind of scouting ahead, going into that deep vision. And here comes the rest of the cavalry as Xiaogu setting up something sneaky top, but Gamsu has hidden himself in that top brush.
Gamsu's still hanging out, biding his time. There's a massive wave build-up as TNT looks to push this one in. Noxiac's not going any farther forward, but there is a veritable death rush here. They look to go in. Noxiac realizes something's up. There's the chompers down. TNT's the only one in tower range, but he's going to get exhausted immediately.
Here comes Gamsu.
Spirit coming in. They look to make this an early first blood here as TNT is going to back his way out. It's a 3v4 in the top lane, and amazingly, no one's gone down just yet. TCT will take a spear from Spirit. TNT's actually going the wrong way here. This is a massive mistake. He's going to flash the decimating smash, but he'll go down anyways. First blood over to Spirit.
Such a brilliant trap set up by Fnatic. Gamsu to walk into Fog of War, to hide himself into that brush, allow for Spirit and Noxiac to respond, to make their way up to the top lane, react to the predictable movements from Xiaogu and to find the first blood. Unfortunately for TNT, obviously just miscommunication, shows the wrong exit path.
And it burned his flash. He still got first blooded. That gives one over to Swift. Everything went wrong for Xiaogu there. And even on top of that, Reckless was getting free farm in the bottom lane.
Yeah, meanwhile, CS discrepancy, not too major, but it's definitely going to hurt TNT as he makes that long trek back to lane.
And he had to burn his teleport.
Ooh, the other thing is the
side.
Itemization, going the double Doran's Blade.
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, it's his best bet early on, right? Since he was set so far behind by having to burn both his flash and kind of waiting for his teammates to arrive here. Teleport going to be burned in the mid, so Doinb will look to push the way back from Febvin. But it's a rough start from QG. We'll have to see how they respond to it. Ooh, a lot of aggression in the mid lane.
I feel like we keep saying that, though. It's a rough start for QG. Unfortunately, I think there's only been one game that they've played the entire tournament where they came out even in the early game, but it's always been from behind.
Yeah, it is a little bit concerning for them, too, up against a team, you know, at least as strong in reputation as Fnatic. And this is a big test for them. You know, you talked to them a little bit yesterday, if I recall. You said, hey, you know, what are you guys looking to do here, right? And said, okay, well, we want to learn. Saw that in the video, too. They're looking to get more experience going to Katowice. If they can, you know, grab a win out here. But it's a tough opponent in Fnatic. It looks hard for them versus Dignitas, but they did manage to pull out that 2-1.
And really such an incredible opportunity for ChiaoGu as a team to face a team like Fnatic, the caliber of talent on this roster, not just with the rebuilding of their dynasty. You know, you have Febvin. I agree wholeheartedly with Dexter. I think Febvin is the best player in this tournament if you look at the most recent performance coming over. And the question is really going to be, can Spirit match Febvin's strength? Will we see Spring Spirit or will we see Summer Spirit?
Yeah, two very different teams, though. And I feel like Spirit right now, he's going to try to find an identity on this team since he changed so much from his Samsung days to World Elite. And I mean, it's always a big question mark. What's he going to show up as? We'll have to find out as Swift is going to find him, however, in the brush, throws an arrow dance down, and TCT's looking to go for the dive with TNT. Decimating Smash will land on the Braum, but it won't matter enough. Spirit is way too low. Swift is looking to go in, manages to snipe him down with a little help from Wolf, and TCT takes a bit of damage on the backside, but he's fine.
Second time's the charm, and Swift trying to make his mark on Spirit, but they're looking for more.
Rune Prison to lock him down under the turret. He's stunned by the winner's bite. Swift will get another one, or rather TNT picks it up, but Swift could be in some trouble. He's going to get the heal from Summoner, but that's not going to matter. Gamsu, however, will fall after he falls once. You got to kill the zombie twice.
All for all, it's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of ChiaoGu. They use the same trick again, collapsing all of their resources to that top lane, but who is this going to impact the most in the long run? Because Reckless is still free farming bottom.
Yep, TNT does get knocked up. However, TCT is there, but he's a little bit low. Both are exhaust down and Gamsu. That might have been a bit of a waste here. V's coming in looking for some revenge, but it won't matter at all. A double kill over to Gamsu, starting off hot as 3-1.
He's looking for the chase here. Will they have the cooldowns, and can he find the slow? Looks like they're not going to commit onto V, but in the end, a excellently placed teleport from Gansu gives Fnatic the edge back.
So far, this is a great start for Gamsu on this Fnatic squad. Spirit will go for the crab, get contested by Swift. These two are just going to be out to get each other all game, I feel.
All series.
Looking at the way the bottom lane's panned out, too, since no action's really gone down there, it's mean that Reckless will have just such a farm advantage here over TNT, who has had a hugely troubling time up in the top side.
It's not even just that, it's also the experience disadvantage. The fact that Miss Fortune has her ultimate bullet time up and online, the fact that that ultimate can now crit, versus Jinx only being level 5 is massive should any type of skirmishing or fighting happen on this side of the map. This is very dangerous for TNT to walk into.
Yeah, TNT does minus the spear. He's going to get jumped on by the Nidalee. He will barely stay alive even through the Make It Rain, but he's got it back again.
Again, but that's so disgusting. You cannot trade with the E max from Miss Fortune. We saw it at All-Stars. I'm glad to see it continue here.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people have been saying Jinx isn't quite as good as she used to be. You know, nerfed on a few patches, and
well,
yes, there's the Tristana available, but Jinx just has such an explosive potential. If you can get it going. It's held back here, but it's still plenty of time in this game.
I think what's important to think about in terms of the power spike for Jinx is that attack speed is still very powerful here. The double attack speed, or the double zeal items, giving her a lot of upfront burst damage if you manage to stack those. Likewise, they synergize really well with her Get Excited passive, just because she can almost stack them up twice as fast as any other champion as long as she procs her passive. So there's some power there, but I definitely agree in kind of the theme of these duelist style of champions starting to rise up in the bot lane. Miss Fortune, the likes of Lucian, she kind of lost her identity or her power there.
That's definitely true. Swift will be able to get a little bit of a hunt on. We'll have to keep track of the stacks as the game goes. Remember, those are, I believe, not capped on 5.23.
Something that I do want to point out in terms of itemization is the talisman upgrade from Spirit there. Sorry, I was like looking at Swift. I was like, Swift's not playing Nidalee, it's Spirit. And Spirit does this on his Nidalee as opposed to going for the more aggressive or the damage-oriented upgrade. He does it so Nidalee doesn't innately pick up Sightstone, so he's allowing his team to have some warding from it. But meanwhile, in the bot lane.
Yep, it looks like TNT's taking even more damage. He's got to be so darn careful here. A level down on Reckless. Noxiac looks to be a level up on TCT as well, who doesn't have his Braum ultimate available. And a lot of action across the map, but all independently. Febvin might be trapped, though. There goes the Chaos Storm, but it completely misses Febvin. Doinb is just trying to use it to push in the wave, however.
Febiven's really not going to lose a lot here. He's going to be able to whimsy himself back into position. Again, he is about 10 CS down, but he does have the wave pushed into him, so not going to be too much of a deficit. The big one is still that bot lane. 85 CS for Reckless in turn for 62 for TNT. That is a massive gold disparity, and it's really starting to show in the itemization. Again, that double Doran's coming out versus the Essence Reaver almost online for Reckless.
Yeah, it's going to take a little while before TNT can compete and fight with the big boys. But for the time being, despite the lead and the heavy pressure that Fnatic are able to exert in lanes on QG, they haven't turned it into anything really, really bigger than that. No towers to take on this game. They haven't gone for any other objectives on the map. Of course, we've already talked this tournament at length about how Dragon is way less important than it used to be. Only 10 minutes into this game. Rift Herald's not being looked at either. So QG have some time to bounce back and some time to catch up on the farm.
Yeah, and likewise, you kind of see Spirit stalking around. Swift has made the response that, you know, I'm going to go into a lane, I'm going to mark the jungler so that way I know I'm going to be invading Spirit, but even if I do gank a lane, if he shows up for the 2v2, I can still possibly look for stacks, but Spirit now in the mid lane.
Yep. 2&B will be able to dodge out the Spirit, gets the stun onto Spirit, the gravity field. So unsuccessful gank is unsuccessful. Nonetheless, still lead to Fnatic, and in comes Swift. With the help of V, they're going to be looking to push this top side in, but it should be cleared away pretty easily by Gamsu.
Yep, resets that ward. Gamsu again just picking up free farm there. Really desperately needs it as we have the discrepancy between Ryze and Sion, but he does compensate for it by having those 3 kills in his back pocket.
Now, and looking at 2&B too, since he played this victor a little bit yesterday, he did it okay. He was able to pick up a decent score. I believe it was about 6-4 and 14. A lot of it was more supportive, though. If you take a look at that, you can pretty much figure that one out. He has a CS lead, of course, on Febiven, but, you know, Lulu's not necessarily going to want to step up and try to farm up into the face of the Death Laser. So far, so good.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of the big thing that is really the story of this game so far is Fnatic having complete control over the bottom side of the map, just because of the advantage that Reckless got, sitting down there, getting the solo farm, having the solo experience, while Xiaogu threw all of their resources in the top lane. And because Gamsu was able to find great counterplay, despite there being a numbers advantage by using a really nicely timed teleport, it's put Fnatic at a lead for this early game, 18k to 16k.
Yeah, and you know, this is a big test for Xiaogu. Let's see the Jinx rocket getting fired out.
Checking for Dragon.
Not able to hit anything, but they did manage to get the intel on the fact that Dragon wasn't being going on. So, yeah, going back to it, QG, you know, they said they wanted to have a big test here, that they wanted to be able to take on, or rather learn and how to be able to take on better and stronger teams. I mean, if you're looking at a Western team, there's pretty much no one better than Fnatic, even when the roster's been massively changed. This is still a very, very strong team, and they're proving it here right now. 2,000 gold in the lead. They nailed the first Dragon in 12 minutes. Keeping it going.
I mean, Fnatic have proven themselves as the Western team over the course of their dominance, the only Western team to have a World Championship title, of course, Season 1 coming out from them. We are rebuilding the roster, rebuilding the dynasty. They lost their crown jewel in Yellowstar, but like the desk said, Febiven, Reckless, picking up that torch and carrying it for Fnatic, and so far they look great in this early game.
It's good you mentioned Yellowstar, too, because the big question mark on this team was always going to be, how is their decision-making? How is their shot calling without the experience of Yellowstar? So far, they've managed to do quite a good job just collapsing and taking advantage of little positional errors that QG have been making constantly.
And likewise, the other big thing that I want to talk on is the shot calling. You know, who is going to pick up the shot calling for Yellowstar? And Febiven said in an interview that it's really him and Reckless that are stepping up to the plate as the kind of the veteran players left over on this roster to try to fill those shoes.
They've been able to play pretty well solo throughout their careers as well. But yeah, this is something that they probably really weren't used to doing. But, you know, when you listen to Yellowstar long enough, I think you can be able to pick up that kind of thing. As TNT, TCT, and Swift do manage to nail a turret in to the bottom side. It will be answered in the top by Reckless and Noxiac, of course. We trade them up.
Still means that Fnatic retain their lead. Still a pretty healthy gold deficit, but we'll see if the siege continues up here. Those Nidalee Spears not hurting as much as maybe Spirit would like, and Doinby also making a rotation down here, followed quickly by Febiven.
And Spirit as well. Spirit's going to find Doinby. He throws on the Chaos Storm. A lot of damage being dealt on him, but the Lulu shield comes out. Red buff's also fine, and Doinby will be able to take the kill by flashing forward. They're going to grab a red buff to add insult to injury.
And
a nice play.
Is exactly what the desk was talking about in terms of Nidalee. You know, if you get that snowball going for her, she looks incredible. But if you come into this mid game, which is now pretty much at 13 minutes due to the extra ambient gold on this meta, you don't really matter much.
Yeah, Doinby, he's getting chased down. Actually, Febiven's going to flash in, get the knockup. Reckless is looking for the kill. See if he can answer back. He will be able to secure it. Needed a heal to do it, though.
2 for 1. They managed to pick up the quick kill, but they also have pressure onto this mid lane, forcing V to rotate down. We'll see if Xiaogu look for a flank here, or if everyone's going to back off.
And the action just starts. They flip a switch. I missed the LPL for Oscar. And flash for flash as TNT gets away from Noxiac, joined by Swift and TCT up the middle of the river.
It's okay, you got the superior region, EU LCS.
Apparently. Worlds is anything to go on.
If this game's anything to go on, is Reckless continuing to chase and poke down some TCT.
Yeah, QG though are definitely making moves of their own. I mean, yes, the gold lead has stayed the same, but as the time has gone on a little bit, that means the percentage is obviously going to matter less and less. TNT will send the rocket flying down mid just to try and dissuade this 4-man push, but it's not going to do that much. There's way too many minions here. There are way too many Fnatic members. They will be able to take down the last remaining outer turret.
And that's the really big thing about that Doinby pick. Again, the big thing about this meta is how the death timers have really changed. They've gotten a lot longer, so picks like that are so much more significant in transitioning them into objectives. So Fnatic able to find that pick, able to poke out the rest of Xiaogu, make sure that they can't get proper positioning on their mid lane, transition that into another free tower, and extending their gold lead.
Gives them a little bit more of an advantage as this game pushes on. We've hit 15 minutes on the mark, but it's already been a heavy action game. Only 5-3 in kills, but I have a feeling that is about to change sometime soon. Swift will be getting his hunt on the Scuttle Crabs. He really has been feeling the seafood today.
Is that what it is?
Well, it's fresh water.
It counts.
Xiaogu
are now rotating their resources up to the top side of the map, contesting mid lane, a little bit too dangerous, but they have plenty of damage done on this top lane tower, so just trying to pick up any free gold that they can around the map.
It just seems watching this team, you know, we've called them the kings of team fighting. We've called them the team that likes to play together and make plays constantly, but it really is true that they don't
do anything unless it's together.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like knowing this, Fnatic can take advantage of the fact, oh, if everyone's on top side, there's no chance they're going to send like 2 people down by.
I mean, the brilliance about Fnatic is you look across this roster as we see Reckless making the push down bottom lane. You have someone like Spirit, like Reckless, like Feathervin. You have so many all-star players that you can find these brilliant skirmishes. If you look at Xiaogu, there's no all-star player that really stands out. I mean, most people would point to Swift, but that's really about it, comparatively to like the LPL in general that have like Rookie, Kakao, Pawn, Def, players like that. So they need to do things together.
It's definitely true, but you know they're not immune to getting a few picks here and there. That was a really brilliant flash play by DoinB, but you know that was kind of set up by the fact that Spirit just jumped on him immediately. Speaking of DoinB, he's in a bit of trouble. The bullet time's coming in, but Noxiac is actually stunned up under tower, throws the unbreakable, and now their chase is on. Can they wear through him? Glacial Fissure, Noxiac, he's even got the Lulu ult, but they will eventually shred him down, and TNT picks up some much-needed gold.
I mean, they managed to find the pick, but look at how many ultimates were just burned on the Bond of Stone Alistar. That is crazy damage reduction in synergy with his ult.
Sometimes if your meat's a little tough, you got to use a pretty big carving knife. A minute till the next dragon comes up. QG are going to back away from this tower for now. Nonetheless, they're not doing too bad, and they're able to push the waves back as Fnatic didn't have too much attention to the bottom side. It's only Gamsu pushing on the top.
This is the other thing that I really like about Sion in this meta is that he offers this thing that he turns into this massive potato that AD carries are having a problem cutting through just because A, Trundle was banned, so you don't get that free Last Whisper from Trundle to allow him to cut through him, but B, the fact that the Last Whisper item in the current game is so much weaker than it used to be. So he gets to be big, meaty, hard to kill, but he also gets to push. He's an excellent split pusher. He's got great mobility. He has excellent engage potential. He's pretty much like the all-in-one potato.
Yeah, and he's fast, too, once he starts getting going. It'll be a little bit difficult for QG to really take him on directly, especially now that he's atomizing for both AP and AD. And this was something that was a mistake a little bit by QG yesterday. They built a mostly AP comp that did allow TNT's Twitch to get back into the game as Fnatic takes down the next dragon, or looks to take down the next dragon. No real response from QG here, so Fnatic are actually still kind of focusing on this particular objective, but they're not getting punished for it at all.
I mean, we know that Dragon isn't as important as it once was just because the games are ending earlier, so there should never really be an option where you're looking for a 5th Dragon win condition. But that said, if it's free, take it.
Yeah, why not? Go ahead and grab it. It really only meant that there was a few mini waves pushed in the mid lane, but that was pretty much instantly defended by Feathervin here. QG bunching up once again, 4 members deep, looking for a potential pick, but Fnatic are already gone. They have V up there on wave clear duty for the time being, but he does have teleport available if he needs it.
Eating up the extra farm on the map right there and resetting themselves. Xiaogu trying to collect their resources into this mid lane, but they certainly will have to fight Fnatic over it, and Fnatic have so many wave clear tools at their potential.
Yeah, It looked like for a moment QG were going to go ahead and ping on to the Rift Herald, but they back away pretty quickly. Fnatic was looking for it as well, and I don't think QG really want to fight right now. They have closed the gold gap significantly. It's down to about only 1,000 difference. However, Baron is pretty close to spawning. The game will change soon. Fnatic's actually going to look for that last second Rift Herald themselves. QG are pinging for it, but this may be too late for them to respond. TNT's out of range.
It's now a matter of who are Fnatic going to put this on. It should be Reckless, but instead it looks like it's going to Spirit.
Oh, excuse me, Spirit. Swift gets really low in this one, throws the Lamster's bite down. TCT is trapped as well. He's going to go down to Noxiac. Reckless, the backline. V was all the way in there, and Doomby looked to finish him off. Just barely does it, but he goes down as well. V, however, will get sacrificed, and this is terrible timing. The Baron just comes up. They're thinking about it, but I think they're a little too low to do it.
They don't have their 80 carry, their primary burn on that objective either, and Xiaogu were just not positioned for that team fight. You saw V flashing forward, pretty much sacrificing his posture in that team fight to try to have a backline threat on Reckless, and now the rest of Fnatic are marching down the mid lane.
A 3-for-1 trade. They'll grab another turret on top of it. It's only TNT, TCT in here to defend as Swift just comes back up. Nothing doing. 20 minutes into the game, Fnatic have got 4 towers on the board to the 2 of QG.
Lose one, take a inner tower in that mid lane. That offers them so much more control over the map. We'll see where Fnatic decide to go from here, if they're going to try to pressure that top lane and look at the Rift Herald. But let's look at the replay. The big thing that I want to focus on is look at where V's posturing. Ryze isn't even in this fight, so this is already a disadvantage for Xiaogu. He's going to come over the back, and he's going to flash on top of Reckless. I mean, at this point, the rest of the team's just going to circle back and destroy him. Doinby also flashing forward. So much is sacrificed to take this 1 kill off the board. But Fnatic do a brilliant job collapsing and just eating everything up.
Yeah, that was just a really, really unfortunate set of maneuvers, I think, for QG. You know, you can't start a fight with 4. Yes, they got Reckless, but you're right. They invested a huge, huge ton of effort here. But back to the game at hand. With the Rift Herald buff, they were able to push a little bit further in and grab themselves an inner turret. QG now back to the back foot that they were. They're down about 3,500 gold, but they're definitely still in this game. I feel like they got to stop taking those kind of engages, though.
I feel like they need to learn some new tricks and stop falling behind early. Fnatic played a phenomenal early game, but Xiaogu, this cannot be their MO going into the 5.23, 5.24 meta.
Yeah. Well, we did see from the some of the pick ban yesterday, they didn't seem to have an incredibly firm grasp on the new patch metas, and admittedly they haven't played a ton. This is a tournament that they didn't expect to go to until EDG had pulled out. However, they have improved significantly from day one. Their drafting was much better in this first game, but they're also up against a much stronger opponent on paper.
And likewise, a lot of questions are really being answered about what type of form Fnatic is going to come out. What can we expect from this roster? Now, Spirit did get his Nidalee, which probably one of his most famous picks from the LPL. He's looked fantastic on it in solo queue, going undefeated. But right now, bit lackluster. It's doing its job, but at 2-2-2, it's not that snowball Nidalee that you would like. And it's really it's Febiven, Reckless, and Gamsu picking up the slack where Spirit failed in the jungle.
Very true. Reckless continues his CS domination of TNT, but he'll have a little bit of a chance to trade back as they leave the tower alone for now. 4 members of Fnatic stacked up in this jungle, and they have got that lit up like a Christmas tree. QG are not going to be able to move in there at all.
And this is the question that I had. Since Dragon really isn't worth anything, it will be spawning in 130. Fnatic have picked up their vision. They've moved it to the top side of the map, and they're going to be pressuring and sieging around this tower. You have great siege potential with Nidalee just because she offers the steroid on her Primal Surge, helps shore up a little bit of the siege that Misfortune lacks in terms of champions against Tristana, champions like Jinx. But more importantly, if Fnatic get a pick in this area, it's very easy to rotate that into a free Baron.
That's why they're sticking around. Reckless will back away, spend some of that hard-earned gold, but QG are still all here. They've had V pretty much on constant wave clear detail, and I feel like QG need to take advantage of this double teleport setup they've got. They need to be able to flank Fnatic, but they don't have any deep wards outside of mid lane. And, that's just to try and go for a long flank. Yeah, they put one down at red buff now, but Fnatic just seem way too smart to fall for something like that.
The QG Reapers at this point are just waiting for V to stack up, to come online with this Ryze.
Ah, to become Ryze.
To become Ryze. Ryze is an incredibly important pick to them. Again, talking with them yesterday, they heavily prioritize it. They say that we try to get to the late game because that's when Ryze is most efficient. We want to get him online. They respect the power of that champion. You've got the stacking items, doesn't have the Archangels on yet, but has his row in his back pocket. So at this point, can they just survive? And will Fnatic take the onus of their lead to close this game out?
Well, that is the question. And, that's kind of how the game has shifted these days, too. It used to be a little bit more, can the team that's behind get back ahead before they get inevitably overwhelmed and just run over like a tidal wave? But now it's more like the game will start to turn back against you if you can't take advantage of your lead. It gives more of an opportunity for QG here to come back into this one. Nonetheless, they're still down about 5,000 gold. They've lost out on those 2 dragons. Only the first one is really all that important. Even then, a bit debatable. But they can't afford to give up a big objective like Baron. They can't afford to give up a big fight that'll lead to a big objective like that. And they need to start being able to push these waves and knock down towers.
Over the course of IEM, the big swing that we've really seen in these games have been, quote-unquote Baron throws. If you look back to Xiaogu versus Dignitas, that's pretty much the only reason that Xiaogu are really in this match as it stands. But we now have both teams postured around the Dragon, and Xiaogu, they love the 5v5 here.
Teleport coming in. It's coming in from the Scion. Another one looks to come in from the backside, but the Dragon, it's incredibly low. This is going to go over to possibly Fnatic as it's secured by the Kindred. Swift will make it happen, but he might pay for it with his life. Lamster's fight, but he's trapped in the pit. And now V's going down. The rocket is dodged. Reckless is low, but he stays alive. TCT, TNT, flashing forward. TNT will be able to pick one up, but his team is all gone. And this is going to be an ace. A double kill going over to the Nidalee. Goodbye, QG Reapers.
They pick up the Dragon, but at what cost indeed? They just didn't have the damage, the target focus, or the posture to take care of such a meaty front line from Fnatic. That Scion doing loads of work there. And again, brilliantly played by Febiven. Kindred was actually very cute there in how she used her Lamster Spite, dashing over the back of the wall and making sure that she still was sitting on the heel. I just want you to watch Febiven here. It was beautifully played in the pit. But like you said, Swift goes, he grabs the Dragon there. That's actually a pretty big bonus. He throws at the Lamster Spite. He's going to jump over the back, put himself back into safety, and he catches the heal. He then goes back over, and Febiven holds the polymorph and immediately delays so much of Swift's damage to pick up the kill. If TNT hadn't flashed over, I mean, obviously Febiven would have been fine there, but it's just too little too late. Fnatic, there's no answer for this Scion.
No, they just can't wear through it. Couldn't even wear through Noxiac either, and this was a guy that was pretty much grabbing attention of the 2 carries on the side of QG. So with that said and done, it's a 9,000 gold differential here. Another tower was taken, an open inhibitor in the bottom side. That'll open up a little bit more potential pressure for Baron, as Fnatic, if they can push waves that way, they should be able to then take it down and give themselves an opening to end this game.
Thing that I do want to quickly touch on is kind of the importance and the power of the early Dragon. Everyone knows that it gives you that percentile scaling on your AP and your AD now, but it does mean a lot more in terms of the clock time, just because this meta is ramping so much faster. It used to be last meta that 35 minutes you expect to have your core itemization, your 3 items up and online, but the mid game is so much earlier because you're finding these 2-hour initial power spikes. And as I say that, Doinby drops the Chaos Storm.
I mean, I think just R is like bound to his right click or something at this point. He's sending it out whenever he gets a chance. And that is something that QG is not afraid to do, to blow these big ultimates, to just be able to push people back. And maybe it catches you by surprise. Problem is, then you can't fight. And they really have shown that they are having trouble even in the most optimal circumstances. As Baron gets started by Gamsu and Reckless, this is going to prompt a fight. Pings are flying from QG, but what can they do here?
And it also means that Doinby doesn't have the Chaos Storm for when Fnatic are grouped up on this Baron. So I like the fact that big AoE ultimate is down. Let's go ahead and try to 2v1 the Baron as the rest of the team zones off Xiaogu, but it looks like they're turning to fight.
They did. In comes the Scion. Can't be stopped. He's not going to be able to connect, but Doinby is going to get decimated for just a second, and Swift gets knocked back. In comes the bullet time. Reckless from the backside picks up Doinby. Swift is in the Lamster's fight. Gamsu's going down, or is he? No! He'll finally fall after it all, and Reckless, a little bit more damage on the back of him. He falls to TNT's rockets, but can he save the day here? V's gone down. That's a triple kill for Reckless. TNT, he's going to pick up Noxiac, or is he? No! Spirit shuts him down!
He doesn't find the orb walk right there, and Hourglass allows Spirit to find his cooldowns to pick up that kill in the back half, and TNT doesn't find the ace there.
No, but Fnatic, they do get another, but with only 2 members hurt in units. Noxiac nearly fell. TNT almost carried that fight, but Spirit's going to be able to take himself an inhibitor limping over to it.
Beautifully played by TNT, but just outplayed by Spirit right there. Again, having the hourglass to make sure that he doesn't go down, to allow that Get Excited to continue to ramp up, allows him to buy time for his cooldowns, and then just finds the execute. The guy that I want you to watch here is Gamsu. He is having a great start to this series right there. Gets right to the back line. We talked about the importance of Sion's engage. Noxiac flashes over, follows up on the hard CC. It's been slowing down Swift as he finds Lamb's Respite, and TNT now trying to go off. But watch Spirit's hourglass.
Wait for it. Unlucky. Yeah, that crit would have been so much, but
It's denying the AoE damage so he can't kill Noxiac and then damage Spirit at the same time, buying him time for his cooldowns, getting the execution, and TNT not respecting the distance.
no, but what I do want to point out is despite how Fnatic is winning all of these fights, despite the fact that they are picking up all the objectives across the map, it's still 6 towers to 2.
Despite the fact that they're just dominating this game.
Yes. QG almost won that. I just want to point it out. Now, TUCT is in a lot of trouble here, and there's the bullet time. Unbreakable, not so much. So Fnatic will find another catch there as soon as I praise them. Something bad happens, of course. That's the caster curse for you. However, this is going to be a fallen tower. Too many members of Fnatic here. The cow is running out in front. Spirit is Will giving the boost to him. And with Gamsu on the back, he ate his meat and potatoes because he is looking big and strong. They're going to be looking to push down another inhibitor turret, and they've got to worry about the one in the bottom soon enough.
Yeah, definitely that super creep wave being built up. Come on, guys. You don't want him to tank it. There you go.
They just need to wait for another wave. DoinB and V are going to try to save the day here. They definitely have a bit of wave clear, mostly on DoinB's side, but I don't know if they can do it in time. It's gone down already, and they can't even clear the minions before it happens. Swift leaps the wall, but that might have been a mistake. He has to bail out with half of his health gone. And now the chase is on with the Chaos Storm. There goes the Glacial Fissure. It's only going to knock up Gamsu. He can't be in the traps because he's got his ultimate on. Unstoppable retreat.
And
they're going to be able to back away.
The free inhibitor, and now it's just back, heal yourself up, and posture for Baron because you know you have a massive pressure point that's about to take over that bottom side of the map.
An open inhibitor in the top, a dead inhibitor in the bottom, a massive minion wave pushing in Fnatic's favor. QG are on the ropes here, and they know it. A 10,000 gold deficit going against them as well.
One of the longer games that we've had at IEM, and one of the larger deficits that we've also had. Fnatic, again, question was what type of form were they going to look like in this series?
This is definitely a new season when we say 31 minutes is one of the longest games we're going to see.
I like to define mid-game and late-game by kind of itemization. I feel like mid-games, when you get your initial power spike, the Trinity Force, he's come online. Late game's kind of like your core itemization or the big 5v5 team fighting. And if you just kind of follow where that goes on the clock, it's like 13, 15 minutes mid-game. 27 minutes plus is late game.
I only need to look at one item. There's the Lord Dominix Regards on TNT, so that's late game. Another Dragon's going to go down. This will be the movement speed boost for Fnatic, who are already rotating around the map with the greatest of ease, so they will pick that one up. And QG, time is running out for them. They have to find some answers. If they can pull a miracle fight, they might be able to knock down some towers, but they're still only sitting on 2 this entire game.
At this point, Fnatic really just need to be patient. They have complete map control right now in terms of the pressure points. Again, the fact that inhibitor, I like to call it the Baron inhibitor, is open on the other side just because it creates a big cross-map option for Fnatic on the Baron.
Playing a little bit more conservative, Lucy, for QG now. They know that they don't want to go too ham and force getting caught.
Their only option right now is a Baron steal. And checking into this area is so dangerous, especially with the amount of control. Since we are no longer on stealth wards and we're on pink wards, although it looks like that ward is actually not spotted in the back of the pit.
Yep, it's going low, but they don't have a chance to steal it. Noxiac is on blocking duty, and he will do his job well. Baron goes down. Noxiac at half his health. They may be able to take him out, but they've spent so much on it. In comes the bullet time. In comes the Sion. TCT can't even get his ult off, and it looks like Fnatic's going to wreck the back line. Fee's taking out a double kill. Over to the Nidalee. Swift and TNT. Oh, so low. A triple. Can he get the quadra? No, it's given over to Febivin, and that's going to mean DoinB will have to flash away all his health, but no mana, and he's got nowhere to go. That's the ace. That is going to be the game, and it's all but the inhibitors and Nexus towers.
And Fnatic dominating them in these team fights. Gamsu having a great performance. Spirit evening himself out in the end, but just a beautiful target priority, and they forced the surrender from Xiaogu.
33 minutes on the clock. GG Game 1. Fnatic shows they still are dominant.
But in a different fashion.
Very.
We asked the question, how would Noxiac and how would Spirit align themselves as kind of the support jungle duo? And I really feel like everyone looked at Huni and Reignover. Those are the duo that came over. They had such great top jungle synergy. Spirit and Gamsu looked fantastic together.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that was something that was a real big question mark. Maybe not so much for the two Koreans, but just how they would work within the team environment. They played together incredibly well. They didn't necessarily need to stick around each other, but we were always questioning the shot calling capability. We were questioning who was going to pick up that slack. And somebody did, and it worked out well.
I'm glad that you put that, because it wasn't just kind of 1v1 outplays and like a 1v1 or 2v2, because this was a lane swap. The fact that Yellowstar isn't on the team, they lost their primary, their general shot caller, but you had the brilliant play from Fnatic to make the call, pull Noxic from the bot side, have Gamsu hide himself in the brush, and have that beautiful collapse onto the top side, which allowed them to pick up the first blood on TNT. That's all macro shot calling decision making. And Fnatic did that without Yellowstar, which allowed them to snowball ahead. Reckless was able to get the solo EXP and gold into the bot lane, and Gamsu, Spirit, and Noxiac continued to win in the top lane as Xiaogu funneled more and more resources there.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic first performance from this new Fnatic squad. QG played their hearts out, but we'll have to see how it goes going forward. But for now, take it away, Expert Desk, and tell us what you think.
Thank you very much. An exciting game one between these two teams, and let's start from the very beginning. QG, they came in with a plan at level 1, and it was looking okay until TNT was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to walk back into 3 people, and then things didn't look so good from there on. But let's focus on the bright things, and let's focus on Fnatic and their successes. How did you guys view that game?
Well, I think right off the bat, Fnatic's macro game was on point. The lane swap ended up beautifully, as you mentioned, and the rotations around the map and understanding what the composition was supposed to do. Because on QG's side, I feel like they heavily, not heavily, but they outdrafted them in a way. We saw the Nidalee coming in and she got fed and then she goes ballistic, but QG didn't really play to their strengths. I feel like that is what they're initially supposed to be famous for, like understanding their win condition, but they didn't show that at all in this game.
I mean, Xiaogu's early game has always been one of the sticking points again. I mean, it was on display, as Chobra mentioned, with the just randomly passing over the kill credit, passing over experience. And Gamsu, the man that we only talked about briefly, brought out the Scion, brought out the potato we were looking for. And the amount of space control, you don't really think about Scion in terms of space control, but whether he's channeling the decimating smash or just controlling space, double AD, nothing they could do against that front line.
For sure.
Yeah, Dexter, what about you?
I mean, yeah, I think the big part was just how QG just played out team fights. I think we even have like a replay where we see why
we
QG
like right now
lost the team fights, because the way you want to have, like, the Kindred should be in the back line, and Swift did like a couple of mistakes just positioning wise, playing Kindred more as a frontliner, where he would always forced to use his ultimate on himself and didn't really make full use of the ultimate, because if you stay back just with your hyper carry, make sure that the hyper carry lives, and have the Ryze deal like all the damage, hide behind the Braum, then there should be no way that you actually lose the team fights. And then Yamato, you can just take this away.
It is like the win condition of QG here is the fact that the Ryze is supposed to split push, and eventually the Fnatic roster is forced to engage into the QG roster. But right here, they're face checking into a space that they have no vision in. Even the Rift Herald is already dead. They were just supposed to push mid and wait for the Fnatic roster to go into them, because the QG roster wants to kite. That is all they want to do. Keep backing off, because the engage is not that strong, with the exception of course, Scion.
But just talking about what you're saying, you're talking about the Ryze fight, that was coming in, but Swift, this is a guy who is known for kind of sketchy decision-making in the early game. Sometimes he goes hero mode and can carry games, but you saw he started off that fight by going in with his Q with no vision. There was a pink ward in that brush from Fnatic, trying to get some damage onto Misfortune, then had to instantly ultimate, eventually flash out.
Yeah.
The Ryze was primed for the flank. He actually found the Misfortune later in the fight, but that was Swift just, again, too much bravado, trying to single out an assassination kill without even the vision to support it.
Yeah, we talked in the pregame about how good Spirit and Noxiac work together, and I think they actually did like a really good job of just using the advantage they got and then just zone out the Kindred out of their jungle. We saw, like, when mid lane tower was still up, that they just invaded together in the blue side jungle, forced Kindred out, got like a bit vision down. We've seen the Poacher's Knife on Nidalee for the first time. That I think that ward item is going to be, like, in a couple of months, once the patch is figured out, it's going to be like a core item on every single jungler, simply because of how vision works right now. And yeah, they did like a really good job actually of controlling like the vision, make sure that they set up like the rotations for Fnatic. And then Fnatic just played a really clean game, whereas QG kind of missed like their win condition of fighting properly, I think.
Right on. Well, overall, a great first impression from this squad of Fnatic, but it's not over just yet. They are up 1-0, but we'll have to wait to find out if they can close it out in this best of 3 after this break.